I don't think I'm unique, but I do people over text. Text is kind of easy bit, and the thing that I enjoy is networking. That's right. I've known a lot of people a long time, and I enjoy meeting people every day.
With AI being a big part of our lives today, do you see this heavily impacting your work at QBIX?
AI isn't bad. Everyone's talking about AI. We've had the introduction of the internet, we've had the introduction of mobile phones, we've had all of these massive tipping points. AI is going to be in businesses doing its job, replacing people's jobs. I mean, fundamentally, that will happen.
Yeah. Andrew, thank you for coming on. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So if anyone's just clicked on the episodes on the video, could you explain who you are and what your business is?
Who am I? So I've been in technology for 25 plus years. Started life, after the university out and going travelling and finding feet, I was offered an apprenticeship, essentially, learning to be a developer.
Right, okay.
So I started life developing in VB5, then VB6, got into .NET coding, worked in Guernsey at the time, started life in the islands, did a year in SARC, 3 years in Guernsey, training to be a developer, and wrote payroll systems primarily, and then that got into more broader finance systems.
Yeah.
Moved over to Jersey 2000, roughly, so 25 years ago. And then got into IT, started life at what was ITEX, which seems like everyone worked at ITEX at one point in their careers. ITEX then became C5 and et cetera. They got into IT management, kind of generically, but I always had a love for what was then the very, very early days of the cloud.
Okay, yeah.
So back then it was virtualization. It was taking physical servers, virtualizing them, but still on physical kit.
Yeah.
And then obviously that moved along, and Microsoft, Google, et cetera, all created cloud systems, and then it was a migration on from there. So I work primarily in financial services. So I work for a hedge fund, work for trust and wealth management businesses, family offices, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And have been around that finance industry right through till, say, 2015. And then 2015, I decided I wanted to do something different. I went and worked for Jersey Telecom. Just kind of learned about that industry, because obviously that's, world's first full fibre island, except they were doing some amazing things back then. So I moved into IT management with JT Global, and they were in the early days of the IoT business. They kind of discovered that they've got an amazing roaming network worldwide, and they wanted to grow the IoT business. So I was kind of focused on modernising the platforms and doing a lot of cloud migration for them, for the in-house tech as opposed to the customer-facing tech.
Right, okay.
Which was kind of cool. So I did that for 5 years. Final role there was chief architect, working with one other guy. We were starting to look at the 5G network and talking to Ericsson and Nokia and various different people, and getting that tender process going. And then left JT and decided that I wanted to get into consulting. You get so much experience over the years, you kind of want to give that back to a certain extent. So I went to the UK and worked in the UK for a year for Insight, who are a massive Microsoft reseller, MSP. Globally, they employ 12,000 people. They've got some amazing clients. So I was working with TripAdvisor, ACCA, Royce, Kellogg. Did some really, really good work, more at a kind of enterprise architecture level, really kind of advising clients holistically, not how to fix that specific problem, but to look at the broader, where do we want to be in 5 years' time? How do we set ourselves up properly to get there? What have we got today? What do we need to simplify, turn off, et cetera, et cetera? And then I came back to Jersey because my family are here, friends are here, this is home. And I joined a business that back then was basically it's a kind of sole trader business, doing consultancy largely around project management into the finance industry. So putting in systems like Quantios Products, Quantios Core, 5 Series, Acumen, Plain Sale. And then over the course of the 18 months that I was working there, I decided to take that business on. Won't go into the details as to why, but I basically took over the business as of kind of October last year, October 2024, through to about March. There was a big rebranding exercise. And I took full ownership of the business in May this year. So now Chief Executive of QBIX.
Wow. Okay.
Early days for QBIX, but yeah, it's so far so good going on.
And what do you prefer, UK, Jersey, or Guernsey working?
Ooh, there's a question. Living, I prefer Jersey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I live life. The community is entrepreneurial. There's young talent coming through everywhere.
Yeah.
Digital Jersey is a great community, and it's just the pace of life here that is second to none anywhere in the world. Let alone Jersey and just the UK. I've worked in Switzerland. I've worked in America. I've worked in UK mainland.
Yeah.
So I've seen very different kind of cultures, but Jersey's definitely a good one for the business.
And could you explain what is QBIX? I thought when you become CEO of the company, you already asked that. So what is QBIX? Could you explain?
What is QBIX? QBIX stands for Quality Business Integration Experts.
Okay.
Now, business integration is quite a loose term, right? But what QBIX is, as opposed to what it isn't, and we're going to both. QBIX is largely a technology advisory company.
Okay.
So we specialize, having got tons of experience. Most of the people that work with me are older than me. So I'm 48 this year. Between us, we've probably got 200 plus years of experience in the team available to us. And we advise companies on what the right technology would be to service their requirements going forward.
Okay.
Regardless of where they are today.
Yeah.
So many companies take a wealth manager, a family office, a trust company locally, but actually not just in the finance industry. We'll quite happily work with Jersey Post, ports, the government, whoever. We will go in where they might have a challenge and they might not fully understand what that challenge is. And they might think, actually, that system's 10 years old, it's broken, it's slow, it's whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I need to replace it. I'll often unpick that to say, well, that might not be the immediate priority right now. Let's talk about the wider technology landscape. Let's talk about where you really want to go. Let's look at people. Let's look at the business. Let's look at how you operate. So we're a business integrator in terms of we really get under the skin of the business and understand the business first, and then make sure the technology fits.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're not a Microsoft reseller. We're not a licensed partner. We partner with a load of different tech firms. So I'll work with Res IT, System Labs, C5, Prosperity, whoever it may be. And the clients have normally got those agreements already. But they won't necessarily talk their language. So we often are that kind of middleman.
Yeah.
So I'll work on almost a virtual CXO, CTO basis, where a client will pay me sometimes a retainer. And I'll work with them on an ongoing basis as a trusted advisor, and they'll just drop in and pick up the phone and say, hey, Andy, we're thinking about this. We've got these kind of quotes from these different providers. Can you help us? Is this right? Is it appropriate? Is it too much? Too little?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was going to ask, do they contact you to say what issue they have, or is there times where you scope out businesses and say this is what you need?
Both.
Yeah, both. Okay.
Both.
Why CEO of QBIX? Has your background helped push you into becoming and taking the role of this for such a company?
Yeah. Like I said, I've been in IT management a very, very long time. And IT management's different things to different people. You get infrastructure managers and software managers or product managers and those kind of things. I've always been a pretty high level generalist when it comes to IT, so I know quite a lot about very different elements, if not all the elements of what makes technology run in the business. Why CEO of QBIX and why that's working so well now is because we are fully independent. I'm not partnered with anyone specifically to resell a service or a product. We'll work with everybody. So I can give you that holistic view on what the marketplace looks like. An example of that is clients will often think that there are one or two solutions in the market. Take Microsoft versus Google as the obvious example, right? You've got Google Business, Google Workspace, or Microsoft 365, Office 365. And the client will often say, well, Microsoft's easier, or we're in the Google landscape, therefore we'll continue. But they might know about all the other myriad of alternatives, right? There's open source alternative, Linux, or this, all of that kind of thing. So we will just give those options where clients might think they're in a limited environment.
What do you think drives you as a person and as a CEO other examples, building, innovating, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's I don't think I'm unique, but I do people over tech. So tech's kind of easy bit, and the thing that I enjoy is the network that I have. Called friendships, right? I've known a lot of people a long time, and I enjoy meeting people every day. This is a good example.
Yeah.
And the more people you meet, the more people you connect, you can do some amazing things. So I really, really enjoy putting that jigsaw puzzle together and getting the right people in the room. And if you get that right, you can do anything.
Yeah. And then moving on to QBIX, do you work mostly with startups on the island, or do you work with a range of different businesses?
I think historically, certainly the business that I took on, and it's reshaped quite a lot over the last 12 months. We were traditionally in the kind of small, I wouldn't say startups, but in the SMB territory. So small, medium business. Our niche was 20 to 50 employees, little trust company, little wealth manager. We'd go in and specialize in project managing a specific delivery of a technology product.
Right.
We're still doing that at the core. We're still doing project management, but I mean, the market's full of project managers. So how do you differentiate this stuff? And now we're working. So I've taken on this year. I've taken on my first enterprise business.
Right.
And they're 350 employees. It's a long-term contract where we're going to be working with them, and I'll have different people from my team advising them on data and architecture, system strategy. And we've got a plan, basically a roadmap, that probably spans out 36 months in total.
Okay.
But in that first 12 months, it's about looking at what they've got today and making sure that that's working for them.
Right.
And again, connecting people is the most important thing there, because it's about bringing the right people into their business at the right time that know how the system should work.
Yeah.
Because they're not maximising the value of what they've got today. So you need to do that first and then build on it.
Yeah. Okay. And would you prefer working with startups or working with?
I mean, it's the age-old thing, right? Working with an enterprise business is a long process.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be working with a big multinational that's got 12 geographic locations and they're a big manufacturing business, it's going to take us 12 months to get that going. So the actual lead time in dealing with an enterprise is huge. It's quite costly. It's quite, it's full of risk. For a small business myself, you've got to make an investment in wanting to do that. And you are literally buying into a relationship. With a startup, it's much easier because you form that relationship much quicker. The transaction can move much faster.
Yeah.
You can get stuck in on Monday morning and just see where you go. So I enjoy both, but the risk is much less with smaller businesses on both sides. So.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. And then another question, what problem are you and QBIX trying to solve? What's like the mission?
So our strength line is making complicated simple.
Okay.
What that means is, I think too few people out there really understand technology and don't have technology working for them. They find it arduous, and the amount of people that moan about things that should be relatively simple, but they find really complicated. And most of the time it's because no one's ever put it in their context and in their language. And that's exactly what we do. So when I talk about simplification, there's many, many different things. Sometimes we can be going in and saying, hey, you've got a whole heap of great tech here, you're just not using it.
Yeah.
Because you are where you are, staff have come and gone, the person that put that system in that used to run it is no longer here, it's not documented properly, let's actually understand it. Example being, finance teams are a great one, right? How many finance teams do you see that work in Excel?
Yeah.
All the time. But there's a massive ERP system over here. They're just dumping data out, putting it in their own format, doing their own reporting, and then sending that out. Yeah. But you've got duplication along the way, and there's mistakes that are corrected, and things aren't necessarily quite right. Well, let's get back into the system, really understand how that machine meant to work, and automate it where possible. And that one's actually getting worse than then.
Right.
There are more cases of that going on now because there are so many systems out there. People are putting things in to solve really specific problems. We get under the skin and really simplify all of it.
Yeah. Okay. So can you walk us through what a typical project with a client looks like?
That's a really long question. So, I mean, we do so many different types of work, but an average day in the life. So I'll take a good example of how we work today. And I talked about the difference between the old business being specifically project managers and us now being generic technology advisors. A day in the life ordinarily is a client that phones us up and just says, "Hey, I'm really frustrated, either with a supplier or a product or a business problem." Ordinarily, they're referred into us. So we've got a lot of referral business. I'd say 80% of what we do is people that have dealt with us before referring in through their so I'll go very loosely for an initial hour, have a chat with, it's normally a chief exec, an MD, an FD, come see the C-suite, board level people, and really understand where they're at in terms of what that frustration looks like. Once we've got that, then there's normally a series of 3 or 4 further meetings, normally 1 to 2 hours, where we'll start involving the relevant business areas. Kind of go, well, okay, we're hearing this at board level. What is that specific to you? Is that challenge? Is it a cultural challenge, a technology challenge, a people challenge, an operating model challenge? So we're not just at the technology layer. We're really zooming right out and looking at the business completely. Bearing in mind that we are primarily using technology to solve problems. So I've always got that in the back of my head. I'm always thinking about, okay, is it systems that are driving this? Is it whatever? And then normally we'll define some kind of problem statement, scope of work. We'll say, well, okay, we're moving from where you are today to where you want to be. Rough timeline for that might be, if it's a simplistic problem and it is just a single system, might be a 3-month project. Brilliant, we'll go down the project management route. If it's more of a kind of, our business is scaling, we've got a couple of acquisitions that we've made, they're not really gelling properly, we'll recommend then that we probably come work in the business and really understand it. So there we've got more of a retainer-based model, right? Where I'll say, right, okay, we're going to size a team that is 1, 2, 3 people. That's ordinarily where we're at. And we'll work with you a day a week, maybe 2 days a week. For some of the enterprise businesses, it might be 5 days. For a fixed period of time, and said, right, okay, we will take on the responsibility of driving this because you don't have the capability, you don't have the resource, you don't have the time, you've got a business to run, right? So we'll take strain away for you, and for that period of time, it's kind of like hiring a chauffeur to drive your car. So that's more how we're working.
And then I've got a question on AI.
Everyone has.
With AI being a big part of our lives today, do you see this heavily impacting your work at QBIX? Are you worried about it, excited, or?
A bit of both. I'm kind of worried and excited all at the same time. AI's, everyone's talking about AI. And obviously it's the biggest, it's changed the world more fundamentally than anything historically. We've had the introduction of the internet, we've had the introduction of mobile phones, we've had all of these massive tipping points. AI is another one, but it's much bigger than many of the ones that have gone prior. So is it exciting? Well, of course, I mean, crikey, we're going to build robots that can do things, and well, we have them, that already exists. AI is going to be in businesses doing its job, replacing people's jobs. I mean, fundamentally, that will happen. Now, when I say replacing people's jobs, for the people that really kind of adopted AI, it shouldn't replace their job. It should actually enhance their job and put them up the food chain a little bit and get rid of the mundanity. No one wants to be plugging numbers in and doing double entry bookkeeping, those kind of things as an example. So is it exciting? Yes. Is it worrying? The thing that I worry about is the general standard of data quality out there, particularly in professional services, but in most industries is poor, really poor. There's data duplication, data's not owned, it's really misunderstood. And ordinarily that's my starting point. So if you come to QBIX and say I'm interested in AI, I don't really want to talk about AI, I want to talk about your data, whoever it is, who owns it, what do you want AI to solve? That's kind of easy. There's 200,000 tools out there already in the first 18 months, 24 months. And that's the real concern. If you plug these tools into really bad data or a business that's not got defined operating procedures and manuals and documentation, it's going to go wild.
Yeah.
And I've seen some crazy examples already where people have put in an AI bot or whatever, and it's come up with the maddest answers to business problems, and they look authentic.
Yeah.
Right? So an example of that, I had a client that wanted to use AI from like a health and safety perspective.
Okay.
So they said, without their own data, they pointed this thing at the internet and said, well, okay, can you tell me what the safe carrying limits are for this and this and this, and what does each individual employee need to do and use, and safety equipment? And it came back with standards from an authority. I can't name the authority because I'll give away the client, but but it came back with a very, very high quality document that said, here are the health and safety guidelines by this authority. That authority didn't exist.
Wow.
It literally hallucinated it. It had found an authority elsewhere in the world, copied it, and made it applicable to the local market.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, the client could have run with that, and they would have been fine. It was valid health and safety advice from that jurisdiction, just not this one.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And then I've got another question. Most proud moment at QBIX that you've experienced in CEO?
I think the biggest one is this enterprise business that we've just taken on.
Okay.
That's been a long engagement. So I took the business on, let's say, the start of the year. Having owned it since May, I've been working on this for the majority of the year.
Okay.
And there's been a number of challenges, both obviously I've been reshaping and rebuilding the business and sorting ownership out and varying different things that go with that.
Yeah.
And you learn as you go, because there's no book that you can buy that says, here's how to take over a business and rebrand this. But trying to win that new business at the same time, and then to have trust in essentially what is a new brand. Well, actually, it's a 13-year-old business.
Yeah.
But it's owned by someone else, and the original founder's no longer there. And what does that mean? And how do we contract? And I've changed quite a lot, but getting that out in the marketplace has been the key.
Yeah.
So we've been in a massive marketing campaign. And I think we've done a pretty good job now. We're generally out in the market. People have either seen QBIX or heard of them, heard of us, even if they don't necessarily know exactly what we do, which is why we're doing these kind of things, and podcasting and YouTube videos, just to kind of get the message out there that we're here and we're open for business.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so most proud moment, and I've got biggest challenge you ever face being the CEO.
Biggest challenge. So it's my first. It's my first role as a CEO, and there's a lot of learning comes with that. Now, I've worked at board level in organisations ordinarily as a CTO or a COO, and they are very, very, very different roles. Being a chief exec brings obviously all of that responsibility that you are in the driving seat and the decisions are yours. When you take on an existing business, you've really got to look at it through a magnifying glass, like I would with a client.
Okay.
And I've kind of had to treat myself like a client because that's the experience I've got.
Yeah.
What am I going to turn off? What am I going to stop doing? What am I going to start doing? We had a workshop earlier in the year, and I sat the team around the table and said, what do you want to do? What are we good at? What are we passionate about? Are our values still aligned? All of those kind of things. And there's certain things we kept because I don't want to throw away history.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that we've started doing. So we've started building a much stronger partner network in terms of who we work with. Our old partner network used to be very much about reselling other people's products.
Okay.
We don't do that anymore. We will partner with people and we will recommend partners into businesses.
Yeah.
But we don't do it on a reseller basis, and we don't pay commissions. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's for them. If they do business, that's great for them. We will take our value from working longer term with a client and having that longer trusted advisor relationship. And I can introduce businesses in much more valuable ways now to say, actually, they're the right partner, or they can be an extension of our team. So if I need technical development resources, I've got them. If I need project managers, I've got them. I don't need to employ them.
Yeah.
So that partner, and it's all about the network, right? So I'm now networking with a lot more people who are more than happy to work under the QBIX brand.
Yeah.
One thing we've started doing, which we never did in the past, was AV and infrastructure services.
Okay.
So audio visual, we can do live events, we can set up sound systems, we can do marquee, we can set up CCTV systems in fixed environments, we can set up boardroom equipment, we can have Microsoft Teams systems, all of those kind of things, physical fixed network, Wi-Fi network, we can do all of that. Now that's a business that's existed for quite a long time as a sole trader business. All I've done is brought that in and expanded on it in terms of the people that are working, delivering that capability. So we can now do much more. We're kind of stronger and broader in terms of a client coming to us and saying, actually, we can work with you across all of these different service areas.
Yeah.
And I'll introduce the right people at the right time. For them, the value is that they've got one person to go to.
Right. Okay.
So you're not out in the market shopping with 20 different people.
Yeah.
You just come to me and I can plug you into the matrix.
Yeah. Okay. And then, what was it like in the beginning, stepping into the CEO role? Do you believe the company has changed during the time you've been there?
Yeah, it has. It went unbelievably quickly.
Okay.
So the first 3 months of this year was just go. Rebrand, get the name out there, talk about what we're doing, really kind of reinforce making it complicated simple. Technology advisory, CXO services, building that partner network really quick. It was just frenetic, right?
Yeah.
Every day was full on. Let's meet people, let's have meetings, let's do client work, plus I was still carrying the old business. So I had clients that had existing contracts and existing deliverables. It was frenetic. And I must admit, I got to the middle of the year and just crashed. So I did take time out to reflect. And since I've come back, that reflection point is really important because you do kind of consider different angles.
Yeah.
And I've come back and the remainder of this year, we're going to be much more present in conferencing circuits and actual physical events, not just here, but worldwide.
Yeah.
So we're going down to Cyprus in October. We're co-sponsoring the Step Europe conference, which is cool. That's the first time it's ever been hosted in Cyprus. So we're going there with a partner that we started working with, and then coming back to Jersey in November for the Step conference here.
Right.
So that's kind of important now, just physically being present and building those actual relationships further. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Another question: what is the biggest emotion you find yourself feeling day to day when building a brand like QBIX? Is it exciting, more stressful? Being the first week.
There are many emotions.
Yeah.
There are many emotions. I mean, there's days you wake up and feel stressed and a little bit overwhelmed. But I wouldn't say that's the norm. I think the norm is definitely, I'm a very positive person and I try to surround myself with that every single day. So I'll always give myself at least one or two challenges in a day, outcomes that I'm looking for that will mean I move forward.
Yeah.
So I always focus on that. I always focus on trying to move forward. There are always challenges and stressful occasions where you've got, there are deadlines to meet and there are budgets here.
Yeah.
Is there enough cash in the bank and all that? Kind of really mundane stuff. But generally I'm full of positive.
Yeah. Okay. And then moving on to your views, I've got a question. How important do you think it is for startups to invest in tech early?
Yeah. It can be a mistake. So if you're a startup, obviously you need tech. You need email and Word and whatever the equivalent is. You need to be able to do presentations and create documentation and send email and record podcasts and all of that kind of stuff. So you'll need a certain amount of tech. I think the mistake is thinking that tech's going to solve problems. Tech is going to be what builds your business, and it's not. It's people, primarily. The most important thing I would recommend to the startup is get out there and be heard. Really understand if your business is something that some people, does anyone want it? And if you spend too much money, because technology is not cheap generally, there's a lot of freebies out there, but they're generally getting so far. So just be careful on finding that boundary. Have enough tech that it gets you off the ground, but don't let it bury you too quickly. And then one clock forward 20 years, you're a big enterprise business, you've got the same problem. Sometimes you've just got too much tech, and people buzzing around going, what is all this? It's really hard to use, it's really complicated.
Yeah.
You can make that mistake when you're a two-person business.
Yeah, okay. So when a startup comes to QBIX and you notice that it's maybe not the right time to invest in tech, can you say that to them and say, no,
Yep.
yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm if nothing else, I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, okay.
And I will. I think there's an art in saying no, and not enough people do say no.
Yeah.
People try to appease people all the time, and there are too many people pleasers just going around saying yes, that's the right thing. Absolutely, we'll guide you in that direction because someone's going to make some money out of it, or it'll make you feel good.
Yeah.
Actually, saying no makes you feel good for different reasons, but I think no has come with the explanation that says why is no and what the right path forward might be. So in the short term, it might not be let's plug in some tech to solve your problem. It might be that I'm going to plug you into a network of 3 or 4 interested people that you can talk to that have that challenge themselves.
Okay.
Or that might help you in a different way.
Yeah. So with over 25 years in technology leadership, what view do you have on the importance of building a high-performing team? You mentioned you had 200 plus years of experience from leading a team. What do you think?
Yeah, if you look on my LinkedIn profile and things, it does talk about building high-performing teams.
Yeah.
And building the right team with the right people in it is not an easy job, actually. I pride myself on getting the right people at the right time, and that's largely a gut feel personality thing.
Yeah.
I'll know whether someone's right within 5 minutes of the conversation because of their energy, their passion. I can teach skills all day long, but if you've got the wrong attitude and the wrong kind of person and they're just broken and beaten by life, then you're probably not going to win that. So getting the right people in the room, absolutely important. I went over I took a break in 2014. I went over to Cambridge Judge Business School, run a specific course on high-performing leadership, and it's all based around the Oxford-Cambridge boat race.
Okay.
And I go back to that all day long, and it works. And it was Stephen Pinson and people that were specifically focused on how do we make this boat go faster. And for every decision they made, it was about saying, is that possibly going to make the team better and the boat go faster? So is it weight, is it friction, is it, the t-shirt I'm wearing that's creating drag?
Yeah.
And if you take that into business and you make those decisions based on the fact that, will it make the car go faster? Will it make the business more efficient? Will it be more profitable? Will it be a better client experience? Frame your problem statement, and then getting the team right to deliver that is kind of easy.
Yeah, okay. And then, do you think hiring is the most important for business success? Or do you think other factors would be more important?
Hiring is an interesting question. And there's 2 sides to it, right? You can hire people and fire people.
Yeah.
I think hiring people is relatively easy. In a market that's very hard to hire. We're an island, we're a rock in the middle of the English Channel. Talent's homegrown talent gets you so far, and there's so much of it, but sometimes you do need to parachute people in, and you've got regulation, manpower issues, and all of that. Government don't help generally, albeit they're trying. It's not easy. Where I find a lot more organisations is less about a hiring problem, more about an operating model problem. And not so firing people. That's pretty harsh. It's about moving people around in an organisation sometimes. You get people that build little ivory towers. Certainly as an organisation grows, they're very focused on delivering excellence in their vertical. So you get a finance team, an operations team, an administration team, and they're all great at what they do, but as a whole, it's not really working. So moving people around and maybe changing some leadership or changing some operational and right-sizing teams at the right time, because equally businesses evolve, so it's not fixed then. If your business shifts and it's launching a new product, are the team that you've got today the right people to deliver that, or do you want to do something different? And get asked that quite a lot.
And then move on to advice for other people. I've got what advice would you give to startups and also the major firms on the island to be prepared for AI?
Be prepared for AI. Data, we talked about it earlier. just really understand your data. Where is it? Is it good quality? Do I have islands of duplication? Are my systems really integrated? Because if they're not, what are you pointing AI at? I think Copilot's a really easy and simple example that actually a lot of people are struggling with. I've known organisations, and I'm one of them, right? You turn on Copilot and you buy the Copilot license and you think it's going to make your life simpler. And if your data's not good quality, it can only find what it can find. Right? It's in your tenant, you can only access that. It can go out on the internet and scrape out some other ideas as well. But ultimately, if your documentation is rubbish, Copilot's not going to help. Likewise, if your data in Excel is rubbish, Copilot's only going to try and pivot data in a certain format or provide a chart output or whatever it may be. The data's rubbish, it's going to be a rubbish output. Rubbish in, rubbish out.
And then, so because you're the CEO of QBIX, is there any advice you would give to your younger self?
To my younger self, don't be afraid. Build relationships quickly. I think when I was younger, I placed a huge amount of importance on being trained and having a job and then keeping that job and being the best at what I did. And that's fine, but it only gets you so far, and you kind of go up this career ladder. I'm an ambitious guy. I thought climbing the career ladder was a great thing to do, but you kind of get 5 years into that journey and you get to the top, or the glass ceiling, as it were. And then what? Right? You've got to leave that company and go somewhere else, and then you start again. You might start a career journey to company X slightly further up the career ladder, but you've still got that limit. Actually, starting it and doing your own thing in your own business and understanding what you want to be to the market, get that in your head really quickly. And don't think about it in terms of how do I sell myself to an employer. It's fine if that's what you want to do. You want to go and get a job, absolutely fine. That's 90% of people will go and do that. But I think I would go down a much more entrepreneurial path, much more quickly. Plus, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, it was hard to do that. There was no support. Governments weren't investing in startups. The digital jersey didn't exist. The world's different then. And so I've got teenage kids. I would advise them all day long. Go out and give it a go.
When you were younger, did you ever want to be what you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Along with the fireman and a racing car driver and an astronaut. Absolutely. I've always wanted to help people. I've always been a bit of a service guy. I like fixing things and I like making people happy. But I think getting out there and doing that in the way that I'm doing it now, I would have done much earlier.
And then, so in your experience, what separates businesses that succeed from those that don't?
I think the businesses that succeed, I've seen businesses come and go, I've seen businesses fail, I've been in them while they've been doing it. So I've learned a lot along the way. The real critical difference between a business that succeeds is it recognises where the fragility is as soon as possible and brings the right people in to solve that. So if you're not afraid of saying, we need to pivot, we need to do something different, we need to merge, we need to acquire, we need to downsize, we need to, whatever it may be. 2008 was a great example. Bottom fell out of the economy, there was no cash, loads of businesses failed because they just didn't have a plan. Businesses that reinvent themselves and think in a more agile way do much more. They tend to stick around a lot longer. COVID was another great example. A heck of a lot of businesses dried up in days, right? There's no service economy. You're not out there. You can't be with people. Well, if I'm a public speaker or a cleaner or whatever, that's it. So what are you going to do? And I have that in the back of my mind all the time now running this business, is I'm trying to move it from much more kind of gig to gig economy where people are paying me for a project and that project lasts 3 months or 6 months. And then, at the end of that, I've basically got that 6 month period where my team are out busy working, but I've got to find that next gig. I'm now trying to build this as more of an enterprise business and an advisory business where people pay for our services on a much more longer term basis. So I will happily take less out of a client, but have a longer relationship than one, let's say there's a £100,000 project that runs 12 months and then we're gone. I would rather a client pay me the same amount of money but over a 5-year period, and I'll bring the right people in at the right time and they will take their value. It's just working in different ways.
Okay. Do you think generally making quicker decisions is the difference?
Absolutely. I'm fundamentally a really impatient guy. Right. So if I get an idea in my head, I kind of want to get on with it.
Go through.
And I'm having to learn and get better at that because you can't do everything overnight. But if you ask the people around me, I like getting stuff done.
Right. Biggest lessons you could share to a person wanting to one day build their own brand?
To build their own brand? I think be really clear on what that brand looks like. So I always think about the back of a bus, right? And maybe I was just spending too much traffic, I'm stuck in traffic on a school run or something. But if I'm staring at the back of a bus and something's not clear, what's it trying to tell me? What are you trying to sell? This might be a little bit counterintuitive because people will say, well, if QBIX was written on the back of the bus, I'd have no idea. But quality business integration experts making complicated simple, that's the strap line to a brand really, really works. So kind of simplify things as much as possible, just so if you're whizzing past something at 30 miles an hour, what is it? Just make it simple. And I would say always talk to as many people as possible as well. So the mistake some firms make is, let's find the best creative agency and let's get some recommendations, but I'm going to go and talk to these guys and they're going to deliver me some artwork and some imagery and some storytelling and that's it. Right, don't do that. Come talk to 6 people or 10 people and get some different ideas and really get the kind of creative juices flowing.
In your opinion, what skills do you think young people today should be developing if they want to build a business in the next, say, 10 years?
Well, again, kids in school and equally being a governor at one of the colleges here, education is a really, really important thing, but actually education is changing. Fundamentally, AI is a really, really good example. Education is going to change a heck of a lot because the information at your fingertips, you don't need to memorize facts anymore that you learn through. I learned from Britannica or encyclopedias in my library. And kids now are just Googling the answers and that's it. So do we really need to teach that? Probably not. And I think education now needs to be much more practical in terms of, have I got the right, do I know how to fix something? Do I know how to build a relationship? Do I know how to hold myself in conversation? Do I know how to question? Do I know how to react actually when I'm not getting the information that I thought I might? And it's, you're having an adverse reaction or I need to understand something. Different cultures, different personality, all that complexity, that's really hard to teach. But I would recommend getting out there and just getting confident in shaking hands and having a conversation and feeling a little bit vulnerable sometimes. But the minute you start doing it, I was the same. I hated the idea of sitting down and doing a podcast or a video. But by the time you've done 10, right?
And then, so I've got one slider question from a viewer. What, in your opinion, is the greatest threat of AI, and how can people prepare for what is to come?
Misinformation, I think. Fake news, hallucinations, making things up. AI is great, but it's already terrifying. The speed at which it's going, the volume of tools out there. People are creating AI solutions for problems that shouldn't exist. Right? There are some mad things going on. So just be careful. You don't think AI is going to solve all the problems necessarily, right? Apply it to the right situation to assist you or to give you, so you're not starting with a blank sheet of paper. Ask it to kind of, guide you in the right direction. That's all great, but just be very, very wary of what it's telling you and make sure you fact check it and all of that.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. And that's all my questions. Awesome for you. I think the start of the episode, I didn't really know much about QBIX, but when you started talking about it, it sounded really, really interesting.
Yeah, it kind of opens it up, right?
Yeah.
You should be able to make something out of that, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, but really good. And thank you for coming on.
No worries.
Very cool.
Pleasure to meet you.
Loved it.
Yeah.
So thank you.